From zero experience to 15K in revenue to landing a full-time job, Bárbara Soares has gone from burned out screenwriter to thriving grant writer in less than 1 year. Now Bárbara gets to dedicate her life to the ones who helped her out of a really dark place, animals. We talk about the negative voices in our head, putting one foot in front of the other, and trusting in the process. I cannot wait for you to meet Bárbara and Knuckles, her sweet little rescue pup. Let's dive in. Welcome, Bárbara. I am so excited to share a little piece of your story today.
Super excited to be here.
Let's dive back into a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, your life pre-grant writing. Talk to me about what was going on in your life back then.
My first thought is when you say let's go back, I'm like, no, because it was not good. My life was kind of falling apart in almost every way. I was getting divorced. I was moving after being in the Bay Area for a few years. So it was kind of like coming back to what I consider home, Los Angeles, looking to reestablish myself here. And the career that I had devoted my entire adult life to, which was screenwriting and TV writing more specifically, was really not going according to plan. And it was being extremely detrimental to my mental health, to my financial health. It was toxic. It really was me looking for a new beginning in every way.
You were faced with so many identity crises at the same time. It has to be so overwhelming for your nervous system and for life in general.
Yes, it was a difficult time in my life. One day I went to a screenwriting event and I talked to a fellow screenwriter and she said, "Oh, I've been doing some grant writing." And I was like, "What is that?" And she told me a little bit. I was like, "Huh, interesting." I was looking for just this answer of like, what else could I be doing with my life? I typed learn grant writing on Google. I stumbled upon learngrantwriting.org and I saw an intro video by Meredith, which I think was like 30 minutes long. I don't like long videos, so I thought, oh, I'm going to watch 2 minutes and I'll be bored. That is not what happened. I watched all 30 minutes because I completely resonated with everything that she was saying in that video of, wanting your independence, wanting to take control over your life, wanting to do meaningful things, using writing for that, flexibility. You can do this. It was that attitude. And I thought, maybe I can. I really didn't know anything. And I decided to kind of take a leap of faith. I didn't have money to pay for it. I asked my family to help me. I was like, this is a terrible time for me. I need help. I really think that this will be a good investment. And they were like, okay, we'll help you. And it was. It was an excellent investment. That is how I ended up in the collective. Yes.
People go further faster when they have their community around them. I'm so grateful that you didn't let the pressure of maybe having them invest in you get in the way, but having the community, the pro around that is like your family was invested in the journey too.
Yes, I get to share with them like, hey guys, this worked. I accomplished this and that. And they were like, wow, so happy for me. It's a cultural thing. I'm from Brazil originally, and it's much more common in Brazil for your family to help you financially than it is in the US, I think. I'm in my 30s. As long as your family is able to, they will help you and they won't ask for it back. They're just happy for me that I managed to get something out of it.
What I love about that is like if you had kids or a niece and nephew or even a chosen family member, there will be a moment in time where you pay that forward and it will be a beautiful blessing to you.
I grew up with my father paying for everyone to go to college. Anyone who needed it. My dad always taught me the value of education. That comes first, probably because of that. And my love of learning is part of, I think, why I've been successful. Wow, a brand new world that I know nothing about. And I find that extremely exciting.
What a value of generosity in education. Thanks, Dad. What happened first? What action steps did you take? How did you kind of make those first steps into the career?
I did a few modules and then I thought, okay, let me try my hand at informational interviews. It happened exactly like you guys say. I did cold emails and several people got back to me, which I still find shocking because I came from a world where that would never happen. They would never get back to you ever. However, I already identified kind of the niche that I wanted, which was animal welfare, but I was too scared and I wasn't reaching out to those people. I was reaching out to other people in the arts because I already had kind of like, oh, I come from the screenwriting world. That seemed easier. When my life was falling apart, my friend was like, why don't you go volunteer at a shelter? You love animals. animals. And I was like, that's a great idea. And I started volunteering at a shelter, and that's kind of how everything started for me. I understood the terrible struggles that the shelter system is going through and that animals are going through. And that kind of is what made me want to work with animals. So I was already volunteering at the shelter when I started these informational interviews, but wasn't reaching out to those people until finally I was like, okay, I got to get the courage to actually reach out to the people that I want. I was just looking for organizations, and I stumbled upon Best Friends Animal Society, and I kept seeing Best Friends logo in the website of every rescue that I looked at. And I thought, they're clearly involved in the work nationwide. I should talk to them. I wonder if they're hiring. And they were hiring for an internship in grant management. I was very vulnerable in my cover letter, and I told them in nicer words, but I basically said, my life was falling apart, and dogs saved me, and I want to do the same for them. That got me the interview, and they hired me. I know it was an internship, but still I had no similar experience other than the volunteering.
Especially on the grant management side, because the management often doesn't have any writing components.
Because it's not just management. I mean, it's writing proposals, it's writing reports, it's connecting with donors over the phone, in person, at events. It's everything. As an intern, I was able to learn a lot of these facets. Internship is what I need because I want to work at this organization one day, and this is kind of the best way to do that. I did well. My team loved me. They really tried to hire me right after. For budget reasons, it didn't work out. I had to leave the organization, and I worked for a health organization as a freelance grant writer, working on very complicated state grants in education. I was writing on behalf of these 4 schools, and I recently learned that all 4 got selected to be in the cohort. So it wasn't for a specific amount of money, but they will make a lot of money by being in the cohort. And I really wanted to go back to animal welfare. I kind of thought, okay, I'll do freelance grant writing in animal welfare. And then as I was preparing to do that, they called me and they were like, actually, we have a spot opening up. And I think I did 4 or 5 interviews for this position. They have a very complex interview process. It wasn't like, oh, we know her, it's going to be her. That's not at all how they are. I felt very proud of myself that I was able to get this job.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the story is just fabulous. You came in, you knew nothing about grant writing, you had some writing expertise. Within 2 months, you land a grant management internship, which I want to point out you had the bravery to apply to even when you felt like you maybe didn't have X amount of the skill sets. That is huge because often we talk ourselves out of applying for the thing that we could apply to. So you work your tail off at the internship. You then do land another job with another consulting firm. Again, probably applying to a job that you had one funding in your management internship, right? So that probably gave you a confidence boost.
I think as an intern, I helped raise like $150,000,
Amazing.
which in animal welfare is a significant amount because it's incredibly difficult to fund. We have a lot of $5,000 grants, $10,000 grants. This unicorn definitely trusted me, and I really appreciate the trust because I did a lot of things like that, again, were new. Never worked in education before, never worked with state grants before. It really gave me the freedom, the support that I needed to do it well. And I learned a lot in that job. I think I was there for maybe 3 or 4 months, just working on a lot of grants and absorbing so much new information. After the internship, I interviewed at several places for grant writing positions without less than a year of experience. So there are definitely people looking to hire.
It's so interesting because someone maybe with different expectations of like jobs come easily or there's a lot of abundance or less networking could come into grant writing and find the opposite. It just speaks to how when we have the right attitude, we can come into this space a little bit more neutral. By the time that you had hit a year, I believe you hit around 15K in revenue.
Yes. So through the working at the health organization, I did hit 15K in revenue. That's not even counting my intern salary with those 3 or 4 months.
You definitely made your investment back.
Very much so. And it's not just the investment, it's the mental change. I was absolutely terrified through all of these steps. I was just thinking, there's no way I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing. But I did all of it because I do like to kind of face problems head on. And I thought, I need to solve this problem. I need a new career. I need somewhere to land. I like to be useful. I like to be doing something good with my time. And I just pursued that until it happened.
The power of vision cannot be be understated. You knew exactly where your North Star was. When you hit those challenging moments, what helped you through that? What did you do to move yourself to a different space?
A lot of what I had learned is just take it one day at a time, and you might not have the answer at the end of the day, but you have to come back the next day and just keep working, because eventually the answer will come if you just keep working.
If you could pick one thing in this almost year and a half journey of being a grant writer, what are you most proud of?
Being able to show myself that I could do something else. There is a mentality in the entertainment industry here. Your life is this career, and that's all that you do. Go outside of that and be like, what else is there for me? Could there be something else that would also make me happy? Happy that I was able to see kind of beyond the world that I knew.
You're right. You've pinpointed actually the hardest thing, which is the bravery to ask yourself if you could live a different life, if you could choose a new path, and then to say yes to the things that your soul and your internal knowing is calling to.
Yes.
That takes bravery and courage and confidence and vulnerability. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you pushed through those negative voices. You said, hi, thank you for showing me your negative voices, and I'm going to move forward anyway.
When I was an intern, I was tasked with a stewardship project where I got to write articles. And I interviewed this rescue called Fix West Texas, and they did amazing work that really resonated with me. I thought I'm going to be able to really pour everything that I'm feeling into this piece. And someone, an anonymous donor, read that piece on the Best Friends website and donated $250,000 to Fix West Texas. And they said it specifically was the piece that prompted that donation. Cannot believe that happened. That's definitely my proudest grant writing moment, even though it wasn't a grant. Just the power of a good story works across the board always.
How powerful.
They still didn't hire me. And I mentioned that only because that was a low point for me, thinking, oh, maybe the grant writing thing is not going to work after all. But I kept going. I kept sending my resume and doing interviews, and eventually it worked out.
I don't know much about the screenwriting industry, but in the for-profit space, you sold $250,000 worth of product, or you brought in that amount of client retainer or something, right? A for-profit would be giving you a bonus. The value of that is so different than in the nonprofit space. I imagine the entertainment industry is highly motivated by money and has some weird money beliefs as well. The nonprofit financial space is a different space.
Correct. And my favorite thing actually is the lack of competition with my colleagues. When you get accepted into the Writers Guild, the union, get a letter saying it's easier to get into the NBA than the WGA. They accept more people. It's a lot of competition, and I don't thrive in that space. I don't want that. And now I work with colleagues. We're doing this for a common goal, and we're all helping each other, and it's all going to go towards the animals. That's what we care about.
We got to get one fun fact that you've learned about animals.
If only 6% more people adopted an animal instead of buying an animal, we would solve the shelter crisis in the US. 6%.
6%?
A lot of people choose to buy. I don't want to judge anyone. All I'm saying is if 6% more people chose to adopt, we wouldn't have this problem. I would like people to know that you can find any kind of animal in a shelter. You can find a Frenchie, you can find a Maltese, you can find a Great Dane. There's so many rescues like overflowing with purebred dogs. There is nothing better in the world than saving a dog. And seeing that dog thrive is getting a second chance at life. Because I am too, not at 9 years old, but I am too. And both of us got that beginning, and he's right here.
Oh, so sweet. Let's end with some rapid fire questions, which I've never been more excited about a couple of them. One word to describe your dream lifestyle.
Adventure.
Next vacation spot.
Probably Brazil.
This is my favorite because I don't usually ask, but you left the entertainment industry. So what's your favorite movie?
Anything by Stanley Kubrick. So The Shining, Doctor Strangelove, A Clockwork Orange, 2001. I think he's a genius. All of his movies.
Last TV show you binged?
The Perfect Wife. Amazing story, actually. I love true crime. I have a bit of a dark taste for TV and movies.
Healthy balance. What are you reading right now?
I am reading House of Leaves, which is an experimental horror novel.
What is your superpower?
My love of learning.
I love that because you are so right. That is an incredible superpower, and it has powered you through this career change in magical ways. Thank you so
course.
much, not only for doing this for you, but doing it for the animals, for doing it for this bigger impact on our world. We are so lucky to have you writing grants and writing stories on behalf of these little animals who are not voiceless. They do make noise, but can't speak to us in quite the way that we understand them.
That's true. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure getting to tell you guys how much you have helped me and the immense difference you have made in my life, the positive influence that you guys have had, the whole unicorn community also, because I
Thank
have relied on them
you.
for a lot of my questions and just motivation. And like I said, was hired by a unicorn. It's just been one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life was joining the collective, without a doubt.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.